Welcome once again to another edition of Quoth the Raven, Lewis Bright Raven. I'm your host, Lewis Bright Raven, 30-year veteran writer, illustrator, editor, and publisher of comic, science fiction, fantasy, horror, and role-playing games. And, well, here we go again. It's another Q&A short. Only this probably won't be that short of an episode. I was watching my friend Ted Davies' channel on TED Talks over on his YouTube channel. And it's his birthday week, so a lot of his stuff this week is revolving around birthday items. And he asked his viewers this simple question: what comics would you want to receive for your birthday? I added graduations, Christmas, or other special events where gifts would be appropriate. So let's see. What books would I want? That's an interesting question, to be honest. I had to really think about it for a while. Obviously, the real answer would be to have 9.6 graded copies of every single comic book I've ever owned a copy of, plus 2 reader copies each. And that means that, when I say ever owned, I mean ever owned, not just, stuff I currently have, which means I'd have probably about 5 or 6 times the number of comics I own now. But anyway, that's really entirely out of the question. And really what's really being asked for is one of my so-called Grail books. The ones I've never owned that I want. I guess I'll give it a try and answer this as fairly as possible. Now, I tried to go with my first published works of my favorite creators, but that I have some people and some I don't. So some of you are going to wonder why I didn't name certain people like George Perez, for an example. That's because I already have his first published work. It's him doing something for Deathlock Demolisher. I can't remember the exact issue, but for Rick Buckler. But stuff like that I already had. But in some cases, I really couldn't go that far back because some of the creators are going back to the 30s and 40s, or I didn't really like their first published work in some cases. Because keep in mind, you didn't exactly get to work on your favorite comics when you first break into comics, especially not in the 1950s to the 1970s, when most of these people that I like started in the business. Well, with that in mind, I decided to go with 5 single standalone books. Hopefully, for my reasons for why I've selected them make sense. The only real Grail book I would think would be probably my number 1 pick, but I would be very surprised and pleased if someone actually got me any of these books. Some of them might even be affordable. I don't know. I haven't really looked because I'm really not a person that hunts for Grails all that much, but we'll see. Okay, our first book is number 5, Weird Science number 12. Publisher is EC Comics, published in 1950. Technically, even though the issue says number 12, this is the first issue of Weird Science. It features art by Al Feldstein, Jack Kamen, Harvey Kurtzman, and Wally Wood. This is obviously well before my time. It was published 22 years before I was even born. But I've since come to greatly appreciate the EC science fiction comics. And I'm very sad that they don't make comics like these to speak of anymore. And, just having a book like this with all those names in one book, I'm a fan of all those guys. And so, that would be a really cool book for me to have. But, I don't know what kind of condition they would be in. They're hard to find in any condition, apparently, and they're rather expensive. Let me see if I can just a fine condition from Mile High Comics, they went over $4,000, so almost $4,200 for it. So, it's like that's what they've got in stock supposedly. So it's like, yeah, not going to happen. That's just a little bit too much, in my opinion. A little bit out of my price range. But anyway, our next issue, number 4, is Detective Comics number 452, and the publisher is DC Comics. And this is published in October of 1975. Why did I pick this book? Well, this is the book that features the very first comic book story in America, published by Jose Luis Garcia Lopez, which is the Hawkman backup story, The Curse of the Ancient Weapons. I also like the fact that the cover is done by Ernie Chan, and that's a pretty cool cover for what it is as well. So I'm kind of like getting it because I want the first Jose Luis Garcia Lopez book in American comics, more or less, on that one. And, it's hard to say how far back that would go. I don't know. Let me see if I can find it. I have to look and see how much some of these books cost out of curiosity. Of course, it doesn't. Why would it show me that? There we go. All right. Let's see what they want to charge over here at Mile High, just out of curiosity. A near mint condition would be $225, which they don't have. All they have is a very fine condition at $170. But obviously, you could probably get something within the $150 to $250 range to probably get me that book, if that was something I was really going to hunt for. Our number 3 book is Daredevil number 102, published by Marvel in 1973. Why this book is this is Chris Claremont's first official comic script story. While he did contribute ideas to other books while he was interning gophering at Marvel, particularly on the X-Men, before he was assigned the X-Men, this is his actual first official script. And so, that's kind of my reason to get that, because I'm a Claremont I shouldn't say I'm a Claremont nut now, but when I was a teenager and early 20-something, I suffered from what I called chronic Claremontitis. Have to have everything at Claremont bed. I don't know if I have this issue or not. I think I have his second Daredevil story in my collection, but I'm pretty sure I don't have this one. Again, what would this actually cost, in the market today, in the mint condition type thing? I don't know. Hard to say. Because, of course, there's so many new Daredevil books and everything out there, it's hard to find the actual list on Mile High or some other place. Let's see. Let's see. Let's try this one. I'm thinking it's around here. Let's see. About $400 to $450 is what Mile High is charging. So I'm going to guess anywhere from $350 to $450 because, Mile High usually overcharges. But, this would be about where it would be worth to get in the market today. Number 2, is House of Mystery number 179, publisher DC Comics 1969. And why would I want this? Well, this is the first published work of the late, great Bernie Wrightson. And it's for his first story, The Man Who Murdered Himself, written by Marv Wolfman. And it also features a Neil Adams story and cover as well. So it's a really good purchase for that, I think. And, that would be a good choice. I don't really have a lot of the early Wrightson because most of his early stuff was before I was born. And I really didn't get to really discover him until about the mid-'80s is when I actually discovered Bernie, because one of my best friends was into his work, and then I had to explore that because of him. Let's see here. How much would that one run us? Well, just in fine condition, not very fine, not near mint, just fine condition. They're saying $675 for this book at Mile High. And they've only got one available in fair condition, which means it's practically falling apart at $120. And I just no, I don't think so. Yeah, so there you go. It's quite the pricey book. I would imagine that a near mint would probably run around $1,200 to $1,500 if you could come across it. And that is our top four. Now, what is our last one? Well, the last one is really my only grail, I guess you could say. It's probably a book that people don't even know what it is, but hopefully you'll see why I picked it. It's ACA Comics number 1, published in May of 1971. Why? This is John Byrne's first published work. It's non-professional. It was when he was attending the Alberta College of Art and Design, hence ACA, Alberta College of Art. It's a one-shot book that was free to the public. It was limited to only 500 copies. And it's something that I've not only never owned, it's one of the few books I have actually never seen in the wild, as it were. In other words, I've never seen this book, even let alone had a chance to purchase it or anything else. And this book, the value on this book ranges. I've seen it go on eBay anywhere from $2,500 up to $8,000, depending on the bids and stuff. And that's just a little bit out of my price range, unfortunately. But, with that limited run and the significance of Byrne's career, obviously that would be a top pick. And me being kind of a Byrne aficionado, I mean, I used to be the third-degree Byrne victim who had to have everything that Byrne did, but that I grew out of that finally when I was probably around my mid-20s after he basically bailed out on his creator-owned books at Dark Horse. And I wanted to get the early stuff from him, and it's one of the few things of his early work that I don't have. So that would be my top 5 and my one grail book. I don't know what you guys would like out there, but feel free to let me know in the comments below. In the meantime, appreciate you for watching. If you enjoyed this episode, or you think others might, please hit the like, share, and subscribe buttons to continue to get content from this channel. As always, I thank you for watching and for your support. I know Fridays is usually my movie night. We'll be back tomorrow with our movie night. And tomorrow we will be watching, or discussing rather, The the 1977 classic animated series by Ralph Bakshi, Wizards. If you want to reach out to me on social media, at Facebook, Lewis.BrightRaven, at Twitter at LewisBrightRave2. You can see more of my artwork at deviantart.com/BrightRaven. You've been watching Quoth the Raven, Lewis Brightraven exclusively on YouTube. If you have questions, comments, suggestions for future episodes, Quoth the Raven LBR72@gmail.com is the way to reach out to me. And if I'll get back to you within a day or two, try lewisbrightraven@yahoo.com. That's all for this episode. We'll see you tomorrow with the Ralph Bakshi Wizards discussion and possibly some additional stuff as well. But until then, have a good night and a great weekend.